Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.
Since 1911, the Pierre Parts Store has been your one-stop shop. Family owned and operated for 4 generations, the Pierre Parts Store has served the community by providing groceries, hardware, home products, and much more, including a full-service lumber yard. Now, we've added the Thibodaux store to the family with the same values and service we've delivered for over 100 years. The Pierre Parts Store and the Thibodaux store, our family serving your family.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. I'd like to bring to you a developing story here through Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office. And just so you know that on Thursday, May 16th at 1 p.m., there will be a full news conference about this. But I want to share with you some information about an attempted murder investigation, which was discovered during a traffic-related investigation by the Baytown Police Department in Texas with the arrest of a Thibodaux couple in connection with this attempted murder. LaTonya Ann Harris, 40, and Terrence Washington, 41, seen here, have been arrested for a series of violent charges in connected with this investigation. Back on April 21st, Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office first learned of a 15-year-old victim who was found badly burned, shot multiple times, but still clinging to life during a traffic crash that occurred in Baytown, Texas on April 20th around 11 p.m. The initial information was reported to our agency by the local Department of Child and Family Services, which quickly linked SVU detectives and investigators with the Baytown Police Department. Our detectives began to receive information from authorities at the Baytown Police Department that indicated the victim suffered severe injuries at the hands of her mother and her mother's boyfriend. The Baytown Police Department confirmed that LaTonya Harris, 40, of Thibodaux, and Terrence Washington of Thibodaux, and a minor child were taken into custody in connection with a traffic incident and discovery of the victim. And so in summation, they were just driving recklessly on I-10. They crashed on a service road, and when officers responded to the scene, they found the vehicle to be occupied and encountered the male driver, later identified as Terrence Washington, 41, holding a firearm. Washington relinquished the weapon and was taken into custody, which led to the discovery of the victim and additional occupants. And due to the obvious severity of the victim's injury, she was transported to a nearby hospital for medical treatment. And it was at that time the medical staff discovered that she had the extent of some gruesome burns to the upper body, along with the discovery of 2 gunshot wounds to the chest and face. An investigator with the Baytown Police Department described the injuries to the victim as the worst she had ever seen. And so investigators with Baytown Police Department and their SVU detectives then looked at the Washington, did an interview. He admitted to being responsible for shooting the victim, which took place during a disturbance with his girlfriend, LaTonya Harris, at their residence in Thibodaux. Washington also admitted to being responsible for sexual abuse of the victim, which lasted numerous months prior to the victim's injuries. Washington also admitted to knowledge of the victim being burned, which he stated occurred in February of 2024, which was being treated in the home by the mother, Harris. Washington explained that after the victim was shot, the family left for Texas. So as the investigation continued, and it still continues, SVU detectives learned that the minor child found within the vehicle was being transported back to Louisiana by a family member. SVU detectives contacted the minor child and completed an interview with her. The interview revealed details confirming that during the Mardi Gras season, the child was awakened to the sight of the victim's body on fire as LaTonya Harris, the mother, stood over her bed with a bottle of rubbing alcohol and a lighter. SVU detectives also listened to gruesome details of the victim being shot on 2 separate days within the home, which went untreated as the family traveled to Texas. With the information developed, SVU detectives completed a search warrant for the family residence, which was located in the 400 block of West Park Avenue. During the search, detectives discovered evidence to confirm that a weapon was shot inside the home, and in addition to blood evidence, the strong odor of infection and decomposing flesh could be smelled. Crime scene detectives completed the search of the home and documented evidence in connection with the investigation. Detectives of the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office traveled to Baytown, Texas to further the investigation and completed an additional interview with Terrence Washington. During the interview, Washington again admitted that during a disturbance at the home Friday, April the 19th, he was holding the weapon in his hand when the weapon went off and shot the victim in the face. Washington also revealed to detectives that he learned the victim was burned by Harris sometime in February when he returned home from work. Washington stated that the victim was burned after Harris learned of the sexual abuse with the victim, who she blamed for the encounters. Washington confirmed that the victim's injuries were treated at home by Harris, who refused to obtain medical treatment for the victim. As the investigation continued, Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office detectives learned that LaTonya Harris was released from a Texas hospital on May 9th and returned to Terrebonne Parish. Harris was quickly apprehended and brought in for questioning, but refused to speak with detectives. Harris was arrested for charges of attempted first-degree murder, second-degree cruelty to a juvenile, and domestic abuse, battery, child endangerment. Harris was transported to Terrebonne Parish Criminal Justice Complex, where she remains jailed on a $1 million bond by local judges. So Terrebonne Parish detectives have also obtained arrest warrants for Terrence Washington for 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder, second-degree cruelty to a juvenile, obstruction of justice, molestation of a juvenile, 3 counts of indecent behavior with a juvenile, and 5 counts of second-degree rape. Terrence Washington will later be remanded to the custody of the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office, while he currently remains jailed at the Harris County Detention Center on charges connected to these crimes in Texas. This remains an ongoing investigation, and additional arrests are not known at this time. Additional information will be revealed, as we mentioned, a little bit later. In addition, Sheriff Tim Saunier would like to extend a special thank you to Baytown Police Department, who was very, very helpful, and goes on to describe how difficult this kind of case is. And so, again, very difficult news to report to you. Very saddening, but good to know that these 2 individuals are no longer on the street and can no longer cause any harm to anyone else. All right, and that will do it for this particular segment of Bayou Time. Don't go anywhere. A lot more local programming right here on HTV.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.